Everybody, you're welcome to today's teaching. And today I'm teaching on a very important topic, and I title it How to Develop Emotional Strength. How to develop emotional strength. See, in the world we are living in, many people talk about mental strength, talk about willpower, but not many people talk about emotional strength. They talk about emotions all the time, emotional intelligence, but it's not um it's not about strengthening yourself in the emotions. Most of what they say usually is like just only understanding the emotions, basically going with it. So, how do we develop emotional strength? That is what I'm talking about today. First of all, I want to just give out some quick misconception that a lot of people have about emotional strength. The first one is that being emotionless is superior. This stoic kind of look. So some people believe that when you don't feel anything, when you don't think anything, you are somehow superior. That's not true. God has emotions. God feels things. If that is superior, then God will not feel anything. No, being emotionless is not superior. What you should be striving for is how to control and harness the power of the emotions. So what I see from many of the men that God chose to do many great work is that they have the emotion of anger much more than the average person. When you see John the Baptist, when you see Elijah, when you see Moses, you will see that anger, that violence, because you need it in order to be able to do some things. Logically speaking, you will not be able to enter that place. Only emotions can take you there. So being emotionless is not superior at all. It's not superior. There's power in emotions that you cannot get from logic. So much power in emotion you cannot get from logic. For example, love is not logically, it doesn't logically make sense. When you have to be selfless to take care of somebody, logically you can't understand it. Without any emotion to back that thing you are saying, it becomes even difficult, almost impossible. That is why you see many mothers, they leave their children. They know that they should take care of this child, but they don't, that attachment is not there between them and that child, and they leave. Whereas there are some that cannot take care of that child, but because that attachment is there, that feeling is there, they will die rather than to leave that child. So the emotions are not useless. They have a massive purpose that they fall, that they play. In fact, logic alone cannot take you. You can't work with God with logic alone. No, you can't work with God with logic alone. If it's only logic you are using, then many of the things that God will send you to do doesn't logically make sense. The only reason you do it is number one, you trust him. Number two, you have that feeling towards him. Nothing else. That's why God generates that feeling in your heart. That love, I love you, Lord. If that thing dies, as most Christians, you will start to see that their life will start going down. So there's a place, a massive place for emotions in Christianity. Number two, whatever level of emotional intelligence, emotional strength you have now, is not your highest level. There are misconceptions some people have, this kind of this is the way I am, or I can't change, or I can't become. No, you can always be better. Your emotions are like a muscle. If you keep training it, you keep training it, you keep training it, you start getting better in it. Very soon you start getting better to overcome anger. Very soon you start getting better to become angry at the right thing, at the right time, because there's place for anger. There are things that cannot be destroyed unless anger is used. So you will start learning how to control it. How to control it. Number three, which is like the first one, is that emotions are for women. Yeah, the man that is saying it is angrily saying it, forgetting that even his anger is an emotions are not for women, sir. Every human being operates by emotions. Every human being operates by emotion. Every human being operates by emotion. What are the few keys that you need? Because this is where I'm going to develop your emotional power. Number one, understand emotions themselves. Many things people call many things are not what they are. I was teaching some people some days ago. I was telling them that depression is not an emotion. Depression is not an emotion. People think that depression, no, depression is not an depression is not an emotion. Depression is a cause. How do I put this now? Is when things are not going right and the things are not working or aligning in the way you are, that thing you call depression is not actually to bring you down. It's God's sign of telling you to move up, not to remain down. It is us that interpreted that thing as depression. God doesn't call it depression. God doesn't call it depression at all. That is why it's not an emotion. No, you might feel something like that, but it's not itself depression. That is why, see, how do I explain this now? That is why you see people that are going through some kind of depression. What do they give them? They give them drugs. What do the drugs go? The drugs go straight to the brain. But the problem is not in the brain. The problem is in the heart. Number one is understanding what? Emotions. Do you really know how you feel? Are you sure about it? Because what you feel might not be what it really is. So you might be thinking you feel something, but it's not really is. So you must understand emotions. Number two, you must develop your emotional IQ. Apart from understanding emotions generally, you must understand it on your own personal level. Your own IQ must be developed. So number one, what does this mean? You must understand your own personal emotions. There's a personal understanding of the emotions that the prophet needs to have. Many of you don't have it. So you don't know why you feel like this. Every time you are moody, you don't know why you are moody. You are sad, you don't know why you are sad. You don't even know whether that thing you are feeling is sad because there is no high emotional IQ. And if you don't have it, you will make everybody suffer because there are people that their emotions are so bad that if they are down, everybody must feel down. If you understand that, okay, this is the reason why this is going on, you'll be able to apply some things inside. Number two, you have social emotional awareness. Social emotional awareness. This is one of the ways to develop your emotional strength. It's not just only to understand yourself, but understand what others can be feeling. Some people call it empathy, but it's not necessarily empathy. Empathy is good, but empathy is limited. There are some people you should not empathize with. That's for another day. Number two, monitor your thought life. How to develop your emotional power. Monitor your thought life. Satan's basic key is how to manipulate your thoughts to get your emotions. The reason is because we act quicker emotionally than we act quicker or than we act logically. Most people think that we act quick logically. No, that's not true. We act quick emotionally. That is why when things happen to you, Satan wants you to respond very quickly. But if you are very careful and you sit down to think about it, you will not respond. But if you are to act emotionally, you will break the house, you scatter the TV, you will do different things. But how does Satan want to go through? It's through your thought life. Do you know that nothing is as it is as you think about it? Nothing is as it is. If somebody were to spit on my face now, someone watching from outside will say, how did he spit on his face? But what if me, I interpreted that this man that spit on my face, this is the greatest blessing of God. That spitting that spitting now is both a blessing and a curse, a reason to fight and a reason not to fight. You see that? So it's not about the thing, but what you are thinking about him. Many of us are not emotional because of what has been done to us, but how we interpret what has been done to us. This is why you need to monitor your thought life. Monitor things that are going on in your thought life. Number three is develop emotionally or emotional balancing skills. Emotional balancing skills. What are some of these skills? Number one, questioning. Questioning. This is one of the most powerful things I know that can bring a man that is on the fire mountain saying he must fight to come down. Ask yourself deep questions. Let's say somebody annoyed you and it made you annoyed. Ask yourself, why am I annoyed? Ask yourself, is this thing he did enough to make me fight him? Ask yourself, why am I fighting him? By the time you introspect with 10 questions, you will be so tired and you will look at the foolishness of things. That is why Satan doesn't want you to use logic to fight emotion. That's why Satan doesn't want you to use questioning. That's why questioning is one of the most powerful tools that if you have in your arsenal, oh my God, there's nothing you cannot do. Number two, learn writing. Learn the same way questioning works, write down things. One of the most wicked emotions that can overtake a person, or emotional feeling that can overtake a person, is when you are feeling overwhelmed. Do you know that no matter how overwhelmed you are, if you write down all the things that are troubling you, you will see it's no more than 3-4 points. And they are not as bad as it looks. As they did a study where they caught people that were about to commit suicide, as they were about to do it, they asked them, after they did it, could you see a way out? Almost all of them said yes, that there was no reason for them to do what they did. They could see a way out. They could see a way out. But if you have not learned to write things down, make it plain, you might fall into the trap of this. Another way is to speak out loud. If Satan is bringing depression or is bringing all these things towards you, speak out loud. You are feeling like things are not going to work. Start to say things must work. In fact, I'm walking in miracles. You'll be surprised that that thing is just like a fog. It will dissipate. If this teaching blessed you, please just do us a favor in this page. Like, share, and subscribe. And by God's grace, I will see you in the next video. Amen.